Hey everybody, Real Estate Ninja here. I hope you are doing great. We're going to talk about household debt. We're going to talk about it topping $17.5 trillion. Things are bad, but they're actually not bad. Why? Because when you know things are bad and we're all going to crazy town, all you got to do is sit back and let the craziness go by and take advantage of this crash. Crashes are actually easy to see, okay? It's super easy, almost too easy. It's almost like somebody shouldn't be fit for president. But hey, that's just me. All right, so let's dive into this story right away and let's figure out how we can get rich from it. The story is out of Zero Hedge. It's entitled Household Debt Tops $17.5 trillion and Americans are feeling the strain. It says you've got to give credit to Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and Amex. They've managed to build one heck of a booming economy, and that's absolutely true. I mean, think about it. Without credit, nothing goes up in value. I know it sounds crazy, unless there's scarcity, which in this world, there doesn't seem to be a ton of scarcity except for brains. And it just makes it easy. When it's easy for someone to just put down a piece of plastic and say, I want that TV I can't afford, or I want that car I can't afford, or I want, Taylor Swift tickets. Seriously, $100,000 for Super Bowl tickets? I know that's the extreme, but I mean, even at $10,000, do you think it's worth it to buy football tickets for 10,000 bucks? And honestly, if you look at the wage disparity, the wage gap, the wealth gap in this country, how many of those people do you think actually paid cash out of their bank account for those tickets? Very few. And the reality is that's why we have price inflation in a lot of areas in our country, in our world, because credit is so accessible. It's so easy. And then you have to deal with the demons later. It says here, despite surging price inflation, resilient American consumers have managed to keep spending money, driving strong economic growth thanks to their credit cards. But there's a problem. Americans are having an increasingly hard time keeping up with the bills. Household debt rose by another $212 billion in the fourth quarter of 2023, surging to a record $17.5 trillion, according to the latest data from the New York Fed. Total household debt has increased by $3.4 trillion since the end of 2019. Ballooning credit card balances led the way, increasing by 4.6% to $1.13 trillion. On an annual basis, credit card balances rose by $143 billion. The bigger problem is the double whammy of rising debt and rising interest rates. Average credit card interest rates eclipsed the previous record high of 17.87% months ago. The average annual percentage rate currently stands at 20.75%. It's clear that Americans have used credit cards to keep up with the bills as price inflation ate up their real earnings. You know, we had inflation very small back in 2005, 2004, 2005, 2006, leading up to the crash of 08. And it's really easy to see back then credit card debt was going up, household debt was going up, all of that stuff, right? This is much worse. So what do? You wait a little bit longer, you prepare a little bit better, and then you go take advantage and you clean house while all the other idiots that didn't have any clue, and I only say idiots, and I'm being straightforward honest. Type 1 if you understand and agree. When you try and warn someone about this and you say the craziest stuff and they're facts about what's going on in the economy, what's going on in the government, and they just gloss over it, and you know they're not listening to you. They're idiots. Let's call a spade a spade. I've made lots of mistakes in my life because I was an idiot, because I didn't want to heed warnings, listen to advice from people that were a lot smarter than me. A lot of it is because of insecurity or just being an idiot. That's how we get places in life. We get our heads knocked sideways and with reality and go, oh, I don't like that feeling. I don't like reality. Reality is not fun. Okay, I'm just going to not do that again. That's how life works. But we're living in a totally dystopian, mind-blown version of Idiocracy. You all seen the movie Idiocracy? If you haven't, you need to watch it. You'll be thinking about the ninja the whole time. Brondo. All right, here we go. Woo! It says we all know what happened during the pandemic. Who cares? Credit card balances stood at over $1 trillion when the pandemic began. They fell below that level in 2020, charting 11.2% drop. That's because everybody was given some government stimulus. Not everybody, but people that had credit card debt were, and some of them used it, and it was very smart to put down their credit card debt. And I give them credit for that. I give them props. Here's the problem. There were small upticks in credit card balances in February and March of 2021 as the recovery began, but another round of stimulus checks rolled out in April, driving another sharp drop in credit card debt. However, Americans started borrowing in earnest again in May of 2021 and have added billions to their credit card balances month over month ever since. Meanwhile, unable to leave their houses due to government lockdowns, but with the money still flowing in thanks to government stimulus, Americans filled up their piggy banks. Aggregate savings peaked at $2.1 trillion in August of 2021. It didn't take long for consumers stressed by inflation driven price hikes to blow through that savings. As of June, the San Francisco Fed estimated that aggregate savings had dropped to $190 billion. In other words, Americans ran through $1.9 trillion in savings in just 2 years. People have to deal with this somehow. After blowing through savings to buy essentials, they do what's next: find sources to borrow. On top of the borrowing on credit cards, Americans are pulling equity from their homes to make ends meet. This is exactly what happened, and it's so easy to see. Sorry, I get a little giddy. Just think, and here, I'm one of those people that are trying to warn the nations. No joke. And you can't warn everybody. We're kind of buy all their stuff. Do you see it? I'm sure Neil sees it down below. I'm sure. I mean, we even have Alan Greenspan in the super chat right now. I don't even know if you know that. You try and warn people, and they don't listen, and then you don't feel bad when you buy their home in foreclosure. I'm not joking. They're going to make great renters. Whew. There's some people, there's always that one person, I can't believe you take advantage of people. I'm like, this is not the show for you. This is not the YouTube channel for you. Yeah, a lot of people are going to get woken up. It says here, rising debt is putting a strain on American consumers. Well, no duh. The problem with financing economic growth with borrowing is that it's expensive, and credit cards have an inconvenient thing called a limit. And Americans are clearly starting to feel the strain. According to the New York Fed, delinquencies increased in every debt category in the fourth quarter. Remember, I told you we're going to see a lot of stuff come out in the fourth quarter of 2023. Credit card, auto loan, and auto loan transactions transitions into delinquency are still rising above pre-pandemic levels, said Wilbur van der Klauw. Oh, say that fast 3 times. Economic research advisor at the New York Fed. He says this signals increased financial stress among younger and lower income households. Aggregate delinquency rates rose by 3.5%, with approximately 8.5% of credit card balances and 7.7% of auto loans transitioning into delinquencies. Serious delinquencies are the highest since 2011. So we're backing up that mountain of the Great Recession now. We're going to have delinquencies highest in 2011, then 2010, and it's going to keep getting worse and worse. Very simply put, just like we saw with inflation a while back when I'm like, hey, inflation's going to get really bad. And a lot of really intelligent people, you're all here, understood it. And they're like, okay, this isn't the time to get crazy. We're just going to sit back and wait and pounce as we're seeing loan terms extending and these deals coming out. You know, I wish I was there, but I drove by a Toyota dealership the other day, and it had on, you know, the paint pen on the brand new Toyota car on the windshield, big letters, under $7,000 under MSRP. Weird. It's because they can't sell cars, so they're having to drop prices. IKEA just announced they're dropping prices. This is where we're at. We're going into a big correction, a mondo of a recession, if not a depression. So I want you prepared for it and not scared. Look, I'm not going to read the rest of this. Things are getting bad. They're going to get worse. Are you going to panic, or are you going to be pumped and do something about it? That's really all I care about. I just want to see a bunch of human beings who are like, I'm freaking pumped, Ninja. We're going to go crush it. We're going to go kill it. And we'll try and take as many people with us, because the middle class is dying because they're getting poor. But it may be hard to do that. I just don't know. Hey, to everybody that hit the resubscribe button, because they got to make that because YouTube keeps taking them away, thank you. And thank you so much for all of your support, your questions, your thumbs up. You guys are awesome. The Real Estate Ninja is out. Peace.